listening to the Spotless Podcast, where cleanliness is always next to podliness. Now, here are your hosts, Hannah Brooks Olson and Andrew Walsh.
Imagine, if you will, you have a whole podcast about cleaning, and it is not until T-minus 1 second that you start recording your 160-something episode that you look at your microphone and you realize just how much dog hair and Hannah hair is on it. We were just about to start recording, and Andrew saw me on the video going cross-eyed and picking something off my microphone, and I've just realized how much hair is on it. And then you held up your microphone cover, your guest microphone cover, Andrew, and it has all kinds of little hairs that I know to be bingo hairs.
Mm-hmm, they're bingo hairs.
Because I know, one, Bingo likes to hang out in your studio, and two, Bingo has long, gorgeous, silky hairs.
Mm-hmm.
How do you clean a microphone cover?
Well, yeah, this showing you this was very embarrassing. This is the guest mic in here. Genevieve uses this microphone when we record after these messages every Tuesday, but Genevieve and I are very accustomed to the cat hair around us, as people with pets usually are, so I don't pay much attention to it until, like you say, we have a guest coming over who's going to use this microphone, and then I realize, oh my goodness, my gracious, if you don't clean that off, that thing you just did where you picked, you're like, what is this? And you delicately, pincered a little, I don't know if that's a word, a little hair off of your microphone. Seeing somebody else do that to your microphone when they're a guest is a really bad feeling. So I always try to clean this thing off. Now, my windscreen comes off of my microphone, and this is a long kind of tubular microphone that I'm using. And so what I will do in the moment is I will grab some of this, I wish I had, do I have any, here, this is better. I was pulling out some Scotch tape, but honestly, if you have some moving tape, sort of thicker moving tape like this stuff here, it's always hard to feel where you left it off, right? Last time.
Oh, you're not one of those guys who puts the little tabby on the end for...
I am the type of guy who usually does. In this case, I didn't. But then I'll just take this tape and lay it, or you just kind of use it like a lint roller.
Sure.
That you then... And it just kind of takes off as much of the hair as possible.
Oh.
Now, during COVID... When on the rare occasion that we actually had somebody who would come over and do do COVID coverage out of my little studio, which seems like kind of counterproductive. And so we're all so, I don't know, careful, paranoid, whatever the word is. I would do this. I would remove as much of the hair as possible, but then I would also take these things and I would soak them. I would take a bowl of kind of warmish, not too hot, warmish water. I would put in a little bit of, I think, Mrs. Meyer's dish soap, and just sort of swirl it around, let them soak for a little bit, and then I would rinse them really, really good so that we didn't leave any soap in there, and then leave them out overnight to dry. And that's if you really want to kind of sanitize it, or give yourself the sense that you're not talking into something that a million gross mouths have already spoken into.
Have you ever gone into a radio station or gone into a recording setting and you can smell the microphone guard?
Luckily, I have not, but I think about it a lot because my friends in the Seattle area may be familiar with a sports radio host who goes by the name The Graz. And have you heard of The Graz?
No.
Do you know who this is? He retired several years ago.
He sounds stinky, though.
But he was one of those guys who's been in Seattle sports radio for just decades, right? Dave Grosby is his name. I was blanking on it for a second. But Dave the Grosby. And I've heard stories like he'll eat a tuna sandwich and just talking to the microphone for 4 hours or whatever. People are do not... And this might be slander. I don't know. This is a person who's much more well known than I am. So I don't know. Hopefully this won't get back to him. But yeah, that was his reputation. Don't use a microphone after the Graz. Which honestly, just say that sentence, and that seems universal. Everybody would agree with that, even if they don't know who the Graz is.
I would say anybody whose nickname is the something. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to share a mic with them generally. Which maybe that's overly judgmental. This also does remind me, though.
The Hammer? Would you want to use a microphone after somebody named the Hammer?
No. Okay. That person sounds plosive in the way they speak.
Yeah, that is true. I'm going to try to think of one. I'm going to try to.
You're going to come up with one where I would be like, oh, say. This is one of those times though where I promise this is relevant to this program that we're making. There are moments where I think about like times in the past, eras of the past, where it really dawns on me how terrible things used to smell.
I think about this a lot.
Right? And I think about it in like historical settings. I remember we were visiting Keith's family in Massachusetts one time, and we were walking along like the Paul Revere Trail. And the first thing that came out of my mouth was, I bet this place stank. Yes. Because all I could think about was how just a combination of like mud and manure and wool and bodies. Like I think about how bad things and smoke. And so this is what I'm thinking about with like microphones, how much like news stations back when people used to chew and smoke, like I am thinking about how bad the wind guards in news stations must have smelled for decades.
Here's a conversation I was having last night. Speaking of historical stankiness, which is something I honestly think about all the time. In fact, I would be surprised if we haven't had this conversation on the show. Like when people, sometimes people for fun will just say, hey, if you could travel, time travel to any period of time, would you go forward? Would you go backward? Where would you go? I always say I'm never going backward because cleanliness is always worse in the past.
Right.
Like, I don't know what the future holds, but like, aside from some sort of apocalyptic calamity, which I mean, obviously we're heading towards anyway, but
I'm not ruling it out.
We're not ruling it out, but for the most part, like hygiene and cleanliness moves forward. Like we now have, like I am now antiquated because I don't have a toilet that squirts up my butt. You know what I mean? Like that's now common. Like we're only moving further and further towards cleanliness in the kind of, in this modern country and in most places in the world. And so I was last night talking to a friend, and I said I had heard a rumor on a podcast that I don't think is true. And that rumor is that in the same way royalty in the oldie-timey days would have food testers, or tasters, so that they wouldn't be poisoned, somebody was putting forth the idea that there was also somebody who would always be a companion with a royal who would take the blame for farts. And I don't, like, somebody was proposing that as a real thing. I don't think that's true. I haven't looked it up. But one of the reasons I don't think it's true is because I don't think they cared as much
how
about
could one
farts
fart
then.
rise above the rest of the odors?
Exactly. And do you think, like, I mean, I'm going for the most boorish example possible. Do you think Henry VIII gives it? He was probably lighting them on fire, right? Like,
and bro was already so stinky from many other parts of his person.
God, his
and
leg.
Everyone around him.
You ever think of his leg wound?
Right?
His leg wound stank so bad.
And, like, nobody brushed their teeth. Nobody bathed. And then also, think about how much material everyone was wearing. Everyone was just a walking Dutch oven. I don't think that the farts were escaping.
That's true. And everybody must have just terrible BO. Oh,
my
God.
God.
Yeah, this is what I think about. And it's okay to shame them because they're in the past.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we've since discovered germ theory and fluoride and general cleanliness that I think they couldn't have even imagined.
So to wrap this up, are you going to clean that mic? You can pop that mic cover off. You have one of the more like
So I was looking at this. I don't actually know if this one does come off.
I'm pretty sure it does. I know that microphone.
Yeah, I'll at least
around that plastic ring, it kind of pops off.
Yeah, I'll at least hit it with the tape. Nobody else uses it, so I'm not too worried about it. But it definitely has some Lola hair and some Hannah hair. Now, this does bring me, though, to a different kind of pet mess, which is much easier to clean up. So, and also, bless her, bless my dog. So Lola, lovely little dog. She is very smart. She is not an especially tidy dog. The dog we used to have, R.I.P., pour one out for the dead homies, Indiana, the even smaller dog, he was a really tidy dog. He didn't like to get messy. He didn't like to get his feet wet. He was like a really prim little guy. Lola is not that. She likes to roll in dirt. She likes to get muddy. She likes to, like, just make a mess. However, we have recently discovered a kind of mess that she will not abide by. And we have discovered it because we gave her a button to tell us what she thinks about things. So
That's amazing. And that's a whole thing there.
So Lola has a handful of buttons around the house, and they're the, like the little floor buttons she can stomp on, and they have words, and most of them are things I've recorded in my own voice. So it is a little weird when I'm like in the bathroom brushing my teeth and I hear from the other room my own voice saying yard, because she has a little doorbell.
You need to get some celebrity voices in there. If you're going to record a celebrity voice and then record it into the machine, you need some Matthew Barry in there.
So, oh my God. Yard.
Yeah. We both went to
window. I would love that. I should record it in the style of Matthew Berry. I
can hear you, Clem Fandango. Sorry.
With your World War II facial hair.
I've been working on it lately. It's not there yet.
I love it. I love this is a great hobby for you. I think this is something that they should offer on Wait, Don't Tell Me when they do the you should tell Luke this. Because they do they used to do Carl Castle's voice on your answering machine, and like now nobody has those, and nobody wants voicemails anymore. Yeah. They should have whoever Bill Curtis, I think it is now, do the celebrity voice on your dog's buttons.
Because everybody has dog buttons.
I mean, many people do. So anyway, Lola only has a handful, and she doesn't have like the whole mat, like the whole like pets who can tell you what they need thing. A lot of people have like an entire mat of like 20 buttons.
I thought you were an outlier on this.
No, that's the thing. Yeah. So, but the idea is that dogs can learn words and they can tell them to you, but like they can't obviously verbalize them. It's basically like sign language that you teach to babies, kind of, where you give them the language in a different way. Now, I just have them a couple of places in the house where she can let me know of things in situ. So she has a button for when her water is empty. Which is because she drinks her water really fast and then it's empty and then I forget to fill it and then she can let me know. She has one to go outside in the yard, and then she has one for when I forget to open the blinds on her favorite window, because she has like a bench where she sits in the window and watches the world. It's like her favorite place to hang out. And I do often forget to open the blinds, or I don't open the blinds far enough, or, as has happened now several times, there are two conditions wherein her window viewing is not perfect. One is when there's too much light in the room, and like at night, and so it's reflecting and she can't see out. So she will hop down off her bench when the window is very much open and hit the button to say, turn down some of the windows. I can't see well enough.
Turn down the lights. So
or turn on the lights. Yeah.
Yep.
Or the one she's now done several times in daytime is she will hop up to look out the window and realize she can't see because the window is too messy. It's too dirty. She
From her own nose prints?
Yes. Or like at one point she had a snack in the window and then she had like peanut butter on her nose and then that got all over the window.
Oh, sounds awful.
It's really gross. But fortunately, a window is a really easy thing to clean, right? It takes 5 seconds. Yeah, super satisfying. But so now, multiple times, my dog has let me know that the window is too messy for her liking using her little button. And the first time I thought it was a fluke. And the second time I was like, nope, that's definitely it. Because once I do it, she watches me clean it. Like, come on, girl, hurry it up. She watches me clean it. And then as soon as I'm done, she hops up on the window, totally satisfied. That was all it took.
That is a really smart dog. So you're saying that a lot of dogs, not the majority, but you're saying a lot of dogs are communicating with buttons
this is the thing.
Days?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean,
I just can't get over that part of it. And then to add the fact that she's a bit of a neatnik.
Yeah. I think it's just because she can't see. I don't think it's that she's not saying it's like it's dirty. She's just saying like, bitch, why can't I see out this window? Fix it. In the same way with the lights, where she's just like, make it good. But yeah,
make it so.
Yeah, and it started. I mean, we had when I was a kid, our dog had a bell because my mom just put bells on doors in the house so she could hear if children were escaping. Or getting in. Honestly, probably my mom put the bell on the door to make sure no children were getting in, because God forbid more showed up.
Sure.
And so the
we
dog.
have a one in, one out policy.
Exactly right. Trading only. We were at a net number of children.
Yeah.
And so our dog Scooter, who we adopted, who was
great name.
Yeah, Scooter this dog was a wreck, but I loved him. He was such a mess when we adopted him, but like what a good,
so he didn't scoot? Like I picture like a dog with a lot of energy to scoot
He
around.
did scoot. I mean, he could
good.
scoot. He could scoot.
Okay, good.
He was like part Shar-Pei, so he had a little curly little tail. He was like an orange guy with a little curly tail. And like a lot of neck meat. He had like a really meaty neck.
I can totally picture Scooter.
Yeah. He was like just like a cartoon of a dog. And he figured out that if he pushed on the bell that we would hear him and then we would let him outside. And so we were like, oh, so he would ring his bell when he needed to go out. So we're like, oh, a doorbell. Like that makes sense. That's also a thing you can buy now. Like I saw a dog doorbell at Mud Bay at the dog store the other day. And so like a doorbell for a dog is like pretty common because a dog figures out if I hit this thing, you're going to let me outside. And it's better than scratching, which is what they'll normally do. And you don't want them scratching on stuff. And so then other stuff they can figure out too, like window. If Lola hits the button, the window reveals itself and now she can see out. Cool. Some dogs have them for, like, oh, I want to play. Come play with me. And so you put, there would be no point in doing that with Lola because her play is very fleeting. She does actually have another button, which is snacks. She's not allowed to have access to that button because otherwise she would just be in front of it all the time, hitting it nonstop.
So wait a second, you got her a button for snacks that she's not allowed to use?
Yeah, we took that away. So that was the first button where we taught her how to use a button.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense.
Because at first you have to teach them this is a thing, right? If you smash this thing, it makes a noise. Okay,
Yeah, she needs a button to get to the button that is the treat button.
Right, exactly. That's like, give me a snack button.
Yes.
Well, and so then I used the snack button to teach her to count to 3, where like I would just say like, okay, give me 2. And so she would hit the button twice and then I would give her 2 snacks. And so she's pretty reliable on 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I was hoping I could use in a practical sense where I could be like, okay, like 3 cars going by, don't run into the road. No, she's only using it for snacks.
Snack based, yeah.
And it means what she does now is whenever she wants anything, she just hits a button 3 times or more.
Yeah.
Because she's a real maximizer, this dog.
Yeah, good.
But like just watching her be now keeping me on my toes about cleanliness around the house is... It's great that now the call is coming from outside of me to keep the windows clean.
That's pretty great. I do love that. One thing, I've never had a dog. Vives and I are sort of fantasizing about it again because one of our cats have buttons. Pretty old.
Some people do have buttons for their cats. Yes.
Well, I will say this. Yeah. Well, more on my smart cat in a second because we do have a cat who is incredibly smart, and especially when it comes to treats. But one thing I will say is. And this isn't judging people who have their windows this way. Your windows may be this way. But, like, one of my least favorite dirty windows is a window that has a bunch of dog nose prints all over it. Like, if you get in I don't get into a lot of strangers' cars. But if you get into a car that you don't know very well or whatever, a friend, somebody's giving you a ride somewhere, and you're just, like, sort of face-to-face with a place where you know a dog's nose has just, like, made all of these marks. It's
very gross.
It's pretty gross. You got to sort of keep that stuff clean. We do have this cat, Bingo. We mentioned Bingo earlier for folks who don't know that is a cat, not a dog, and he's about 2.5 now or something, and he's super smart, and Genevieve has been teaching him to sit, so he gets a treat, but he will sit for a treat now, which I've never seen a cat do that before. He's just so smart. I mean, he's got this laser pointer, as a lot of cats do. He will find it and put it in his mouth and bring it to you and drop it at your feet when he wants to play. Like, he's very dog-like in this way.
Bingo needs some buttons.
Yeah, maybe or not. But you know how in your relationship you have little things where it's kind of like it's not a competition, but it is sort of. And I don't know what kind of competition I'm talking about here, but I definitely lost some points the other day when Vives and I were talking about the cat's snack routine. And Genevieve will sometimes give the cats like treats, just like a little piece of cheese or whatever she's eating. Bingo will eat literally anything, and she makes him sit. She gives it to him, and he's a good boy, whatever. I don't do all of that, but there comes to be a time at night so we give him a morning can of food, an evening can of food, and then late at night, Bingo gets a like dry food snack in his little puzzle. It's like one of those little, I don't know, square things you put on the ground. It's got various puzzle things, little dishes that are hard to get treats out of, or little grooves or whatever. And I'll dump a bunch of his little dry kibble in there, and he can kind of work it and like scratch away and get it. It doesn't even slow him down anymore. He's just so good at getting the snacks out of there. But I bought a new bag of kibble, I don't know, about 2 months ago or something, and we're really surprised at how big. It was almost like a huge bag of cat treats. They're so like big and like and the cats love these things. Bingo has been eating these things like crazy. It's well, that was the whole point. Genevieve was asking, what brand is that? Now, again, we're getting near the end of this bag that we've had for a while. And she said, what brand is that again? I'll get the bag. And I pull down the bag. I keep it on a very high shelf because I'm sort of in charge of this. And there's these high shelves Genevieve can't get to. So I just might as well put the stuff that I use up there. So I grab this bag of cat food that Genevieve hasn't seen before. And I bring it down and I show it to her. I'm like, see, look, it's Blue Wilderness, I think it's called. Have you heard of that before?
I know of it as a dog food.
It is a dog food and a cat food, and that is exactly where I'm going with this. I'm showing the bag to Genevieve, and she said, so that's dog food that you've been feeding the cats? And I said, no, it's cat food. She said, it has a wolf on it. Like, did you think that was a cat? Now, it turns out that Blue Wilderness puts a wolf on all of their cat and dog food, but you have to look for like a smaller little image of a cat or a dog. But I definitely lost points when I was like, Genevieve, this is the cat food I've been giving the cat. It felt like a real Ramona Quimby moment for myself. And I hold up this big ass bag of dog food.
You were so proud.
I was just like, look, yeah. Turns out cats love dog food, though. I guess that's the lesson there.
You know what's funny, though, is that dogs love cat food. So one of Lola's...
They just love food.
I mean, that's true. But one of Lola's favorite pastimes, especially on, like, a rainy day, is I will let her just go loiter at, like, PetSmart. So, like, we buy most of her stuff from our local pet stores, and she's a regular visitor to her, like, our super small pet store. But a large box store like a PetSmart is, like, a fun day, you know, for her to just wander.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's little birds in there. And
she's very into the birds. She's weirdly into the things for fish tanks. Like, not even the fish, but like the fish tank objects. She's
Me
really
too.
Right. I know, the little castles and stuff.
Yeah,
she's
I had
weird.
a fish tank as a kid, but I had no fish in it. It just had a bunch of little toys down there.
I honestly think if I got Lola a fish tank, she'd be very into it.
Yeah.
But she always is like very drawn to the cat food and will spend she will smell every bag of cat food. But I think it's because she just likes fish as like a flavor profile.
Oh, I see. And you're probably going to get more more fish flavors in cat food. I guess dog food really wouldn't have that flavor.
No, there's fish. There's like salmon. She eats
that
salmon
makes
and
sense.
stuff.
Sure.
But vis-a-vis couple stuff. Well, wait. Let's first tell people how they can
couple
talk to
stuff.
us. Vis-a-vis couple stuff. I have a question for you.
Yes.
But first, we should tell people how they too can take part in this riveting broadcast that we're making here. So we do like to hear from you. We like it when you call us. You can call us at 508-469-9274. That's 508-HOW-WASH. You can put it in your phone under Andrew and Hannah or Spotless, and it will feel like... Or Handrew. Make you feel like you have a friend, which might be nice for you. You can also email us.
If you need two friends, you could put it in twice, one under my name and one under yours.
You could do that, and I would be okay with it. You can also email us, SpotlessPod. And if you send us an email, you can send us a voice memo, which, of course, sounds really nice and clear, so we like that, too. And you can follow us on Instagram at SpotlessPod. Technically, the TikTok still exists, although I'm not going to be probably using it because in the great TikTok kerfuffle, I deleted it off my phone. And in the interest of not supporting propaganda in favor of a president that I don't support, I probably will not be putting stuff there anymore. So I would say stick with the Instagram.
I'm removing TikTok from our template.
Yeah.
There you go. I think I told you last show I deleted my personal Instagram too, but we still have Spotless Instagram. Spotless Pod, by the way. That's at Spotless Pod for Instagram, as you already said.
We do. And I'm saying this on the show now. So we've been recording these on video as well, just so we can see each other. I'm going to try and put this video recording on the website so people can watch the recording if they want. I'm going to see if I don't actually know if our website will support that. I'm going to see. I'm going to give it a try.
Okay.
So
check
it and see if that worked. Okay.
I mean, I get so dressed up for this podcast all the time. It'll be nice for people to finally be able to see me. Big
same in the like schleppy, like, I don't exactly put on airs for this, but
I have a big blemish on the left side of my nose, so I'm trying to let the camera favor my right side.
Show your good
today.
side.
Yeah, exactly. Well, my less bad side is what we call it.
Have you got turned on to the pimple patches yet? Because they saved me.
Oh, no, the thing is, it's not a pimple. But let's not get into it. I don't
Okay.
know what it is. It's just a blemish that is getting more and more pronounced. Probably at my age, I should probably have the doctor look at it, actually.
You're just slowly descending into like old man lumpy territory.
I really am. It's really gross. Okay, so I had an idea of something to talk about on today's show. I want to talk about laundry soap in a second. You raised something off air that I think is going to hit home for a lot of people, myself included. But before we get into that, I have a question for listeners that I would love them to weigh in on if they want to use that phone number, 508-HOW-WASH, or the spotlesspod@gmail address. The question of the day is, are there any things in your life that you purposely let get dirtier than they need to be because it's going to make the cleaning process even more satisfying later? I only have one example right now, although if I do more thinking about it, I feel like I'm going to come across, maybe even in the summertime when I'm doing more like kind of cleaning and maybe more outdoor stuff, I'll come across more stuff like this. But I have a dehumidifier, Hannah, that we've had for about a year now. And we keep it going most of the time. I would say probably the majority of a day, if not 24 hours. But I have it sits outside of my basement bathroom where I take showers once or twice a day. So we definitely have it running during that time. I don't want, a lot of extra moisture in the air. People understand the need for a dehumidifier in a basement. But it has a filter. First of all, I need to empty that thing of water about once a day. But also, it has a filter in the back of it. And I learned that when the filter light went on for the first time. It said, it's time to change your filter. And I want to be clear about something here. This isn't a super high-tech machine. It's fine. It's modern. But I don't think it's actually detecting a dirty filter. I don't think there are any sensors or anything in there. This is more of the Brita model. I don't know why I say that. But I just remember those big, clunky Brita water filter things. After you would open and close the little lid to refill it so many times, like after 100 times, a little light would go on. It would say, time to change your filter. Do you remember that? And it was just based on the fact, well, you've opened and closed this lid so many times, we know you've filtered this amount of water, so therefore it's time to change the filter.
Okay.
I didn't need to bring Brita into this at all. It just confuses things. But the point is, I have this dehumidifier that every now and then a light goes on and says, I think it's time to change your filter, probably based on how many hours this thing has been running, right? And the first time I saw that, I'm like, oh, there's a filter on this bad boy. And I kind of popped it off the back, and I looked at it, and it didn't really look that dirty. So I think I even put it back on and maybe cleared the little light. And then after a while, the light went back on. I'm like, it still doesn't look dirty. I don't see anything in there. It's a filter about the size of maybe, let's say it's about 12 inches by 6 or something like that, a little rectangle. But I take it out. Doesn't look dirty. I bring it into my bathroom sink, which is big enough to lay the whole thing flat in it. I fill the basin with a little bit of water, and I put this thing down into it. And all of a sudden, I saw all this stuff that I couldn't see it when it was in the filter, but it all collected in the water. And then I rinsed it off under the tap. And then when I let the water out of the sink, it left this very gross, very satisfying ring of just stuff that was in the air, probably a lot of, it wasn't like cat hair, but probably dander and whatever else. And I've been like, this son of a gun, it looks clean. But if I let this thing go 2 full cycles, instead of cleaning it every time the machine tells me to, but only clean it every other time,
because it's still filtering. It's still obviously doing the job.
It's fine, yeah, but I don't like to clean it if I don't get that good satisfying, look at all the gunk coming off of it.
No, if you rinse it and it's just a little bit of, it's like, oh, what have you even been doing?
What's the point of any of this? And so, I like to see things. It's kind of like, even though it's sort of also a bad feeling, if you clean a window that you haven't cleaned in a long time, let's just say you're using white paper towels, whatever you're using, but if you're using white paper towels as I do, and then you clean this window and you're like, oh yeah, that looks a little bit better, but then you look down at the paper towel and you're like, holy shit, what the devil is this? How has this much grime been on this window? There's something satisfying about that.
Yes. I feel like that when I do the inside of my car's windows, 'cause especially when you're driving sort of at sunset, and you can kind of tell you can't really see so well through the windshield, and then you get in there and do it, and it's like the result that you see isn't that good, but what comes off on the towel is really good. I feel like my version of this is, I don't know, I guess light casings, the glass bit, whether it's the light boob or just generally the glass part that goes around a ceiling light.
Yes, yeah, okay, yeah.
Because I remember the first time I ever saw one of those and how gross it was when I was a like a wean. I was a really small child. And I remember my dad taking one down off the ceiling, and it was so gross. And my mind was blown because he washed it, and then the room was way brighter.
It was brighter. Yes.
And I was like, oh, this is good. And so I feel like
and
that's...
this is a time when your parents were smoking, or at least one of your parents were smoking.
Yeah.
Too, maybe. Yeah, that's going to be a big deal. Yeah.
And so I feel like that's one, when I've lived in houses that have that kind of light, like I don't necessarily prioritize doing that one, because when I do it, it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's, you know,
I love that.
It doesn't make my house feel gross for me to have not done it. But then when I clean it, it feels really satisfying. I feel this way too with the fan blades, like our bedroom fan blades.
Yes, I was just thinking about those. Yes.
Because like there's always a day when you look up and you're like, oh, good God. Oh, those have gone too far.
That happened to me, and again, we have pets, and so, and you know, my cat is kind of long. I guess now he's sort of grown into more being a medium hair cat, I guess. But he definitely, as we were talking about with my microphones earlier, like he definitely shed some noticeable hair. And we had people over. I think it was Thanksgiving, in fact. And I was sitting with my friend upstairs, and I think I looked up. I think I told on myself. I didn't mean to. But I looked up, sitting in a part of the room I never sit in when we don't have company, and I just looked up at my fan, and I could see the grime collecting, not just on the top of the fan blades, because you don't have that perspective, but it was collecting on the sides, and you could see cat hair. The cat hair that had just been swept up into the room and into the atmosphere had been collecting and collecting. My fan looked like it was furry, and I yelped, and I was like, oh my God. And my friend Nikki was like, yeah, that's dirty. You got to clean that. You got to clean that. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I wanted to do it right then, but we had food out. We had people over. I couldn't do it right then.
You're the other side of your friends with the dirty kitchen hood that we talked about on the last show.
That's right. Yes.
Your friend Nikki had been sitting there the whole time like, when do I get to clean that? Give me a shot.
Nikki's been on the show before, like years ago now. She's the one with the bed bugs.
Oh, she had bed bugs. I remember this.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
oh,
which,
God.
no shame, happens.
No shame.
To some, I too am a survivor of bed bugs. And to this day, I am still a little triggered when I see an errant flaxseed around, because they look identical. And once you have them once, and you don't go back to feeling safe ever.
After that show that I did with both you guys, I was convinced for a while that I had them, and I went and I changed all this shit, and I didn't, but just talking about them gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, if you're a person suffering from life with bed bugs, we do have an episode about it way back, and I've recommended it to several people where if they have them, where I'm like, no, listen,
yeah.
I lived through it. Other people lived through it. We have a lot of practical advice. It's a very real thing, and it's not a sign of you being gross. Unlike having a furry ceiling fan, which is maybe just a fault.
Yeah.
Of you personally.
Yeah, she definitely shamed me for that. So anyway, but back to things that you let get purposely dirty just so that they'll be even more satisfying to clean. How did I put this? I said... Well, can I get my text messages open in time to share my own joke? I had a segment name for this that was so long and tortured when I pitched it to you as an idea. I can't get there right now. But anyway, yeah, give us a call at 508-HOW-WASH, or leave us a voice memo and email it in at spotlesspod@gmail.com and let us know if there's anything in your life that you purposely let go for too long. Let's see, what did I call this
I can read
thing?
it to you. I have it here.
Okay, you got it. Yeah.
Things that you purposefully don't clean a lot so that they're super dirty when you finally clean them, and it's super satisfying.
I love the word super.
Yeah. But I think that's the thing, because especially if it's something, again, where it doesn't impact your quality of life. It's not like, oh, I don't wash my dishes, for a long time, or I don't, vacuum my floor so it's extra crunchy. It's not like that. It's the little things that you don't have to clean, but then when you get to it, you're like, ooh, yes.
Yeah. Yes. All right, good. And then let's switch gears here and talk about laundry soap a little bit. What's going on in your family?
So we've discussed before that Keith and I have different scent profiles in our preferences, and then there's a space where we meet in the middle, and that space is where our candles exist, where we're both on board with a nice woody scent. We're both on board with a vanilla scent, a certain amount of musk, and a very nominal amount of floral we can agree on.
No lavender for my boy.
No lavender in our home. No lavender, no gardenia, which I agree with as well. I think he's not a big fan of honeysuckle. A lot of the really sweet florals. Rose he's not really that into. But where this gets into trouble a little bit is like we do our laundry separately for the most part. Like our personal laundry we do separately because we just each have separate hampers and we do it whenever on our own. But joint things we do are things like towels, bed sheets, the dog's laundry, like things that are communal, blankets. And so recently, so part of this means that when I make a Grove order, I always order 2 laundry detergents. Usually one is unscented, and that's for Keith's laundry because he likes unscented laundry soap. He doesn't like his laundry to be scented at all. He has more sensitive skin than I do, and I think he just likes it to be unscented. I like scented laundry soap. I like it when I pull a shirt out of my drawer and it smells like it's been washed. Like I prefer that. I also like to have a base note of clean laundry on my person as I'm wearing it out in the world. I have a real complex about smelling good. And as noted, I had a mom who smoked when I was a kid. I think that's part of where that comes from. But recently, I honestly don't even think he noticed, but I had like a great deal of guilt, sort of, because I ran out of the unscented laundry soap in between Grove boxes. And I recently had to do all of our towels, and that includes like our dish towels, Marley's Monsters on paper towels, like all of our cloth things around the house. I was washing them, and I didn't have any of the unscented. And so then I was putting them all away, and I was like putting like his bath towel like in the shower, and I could tell that it was scented. And I legitimately considered rewashing it just to take some of the
maybe
scent
even
off
without soap. Yeah,
because I felt bad because like I know that he doesn't like it for them to be fragranced, and I don't know, it's like a juniper sort of scent. It's not like anything I don't think he would find offensive. It's certainly not lavender, but like I just having to continue to have like 2 laundry soaps in our house is a little bit of a challenge because we just have different preferences. But like if I'm the one doing a chore, it might end up falling to my preference, which I sometimes feel a little bit bad about, but maybe I shouldn't because I'm the one doing the chore.
Yeah, I did want to ask you about the towels situation because you mentioned that you personally like the smell of like clean clothes that have a scent to them. I do too. In fact, we hit upon the subject not all that long ago because Genevieve and I continue to sort of have a little bit of tension about what kind of soap we're using in our house as well. And we are going from something that didn't have, even though it was technically scented, it just didn't imprint on the clothes very much at all. And I finally gave up on that because I truly didn't believe that my clothes were getting clean enough. And sometimes I'd get a load of laundry that actually still smelled kind of bad actually after the drying run, and I was like and so I switched away from my more like kind of earth friendly little washer sheets, and I went back to the stuff that Genevieve hated me getting, which is, and I understand I'm on the wrong side of history here, but like just your grocery store level big plastic jug of Tide or whatever.
But the sheets we also found don't actually get clothes as clean.
That's what it seems like. That is becoming more and more clear that things are not as clean. So I went back to that. More on Genevieve is still experimenting with some other things that she likes that I'm still reluctant to go back to. But point is, when I went off of those more environmentally friendly, less fragranced soaps and back to just like old school, like, the shit I grew up with or whatever, Tide I think I have, the very first batch of towels that I had, I got out of the shower and I put it up to my face, and that was when I smelled my new / old, returning to favorites, soap. And that was the moment. I'm like, I'm never going back again. I love how this towel smells. You mentioned that you guys do your own laundry mostly, but for the most part, you do all the towels usually together, and you've been giving up on that scent because you kind of accidentally gave yourself a little treat by making your own bath towels smell like juniper, it sounds like.
Yeah, I usually do the towel. I don't always do the towel laundry. It tends to be something I do just because it usually gets wrapped up in like other kinds of chores that I tend to do around the house. And so like it just is something that I'll do more likely. And usually I will do it with the unscented because like it's communal laundry, and I feel like the unscented is sort of the, more middle.
It's literally, yeah.
However,
literally
there's a
middle
part of me
ground.
that thinks if he wants unscented, if he's very passionate about unscented towel laundry, he can wash his own towels.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, because you guys probably have you guys have your own sets of towels. Vives and I do, because we have different bathrooms. So she has ones that match
Yes.
hers, and I got these gray
Same.
ones that sort of match my decor. So like you kind of give up on that pleasure usually then of having a nice, really fresh, bright smelling towel.
Yeah, and I do. I mean, it's also because we do so much other, like our towel laundry is like so many other little bits of. It's like it's our unpaper towels, which then I roll up. You know, it's our dish towels that go around. It's all of our hand cloths, our microfibers, like all of that kind of thing. But I should say, so the unscented and the scented that we have are the same soap. They're both the Grove Ultra Concentrated that come in an aluminum bottle. You only need a little bit, but the scented one is a pretty great scent. It's certainly not as powerful as like the old-timey Tide or All or Bounce or whatever. But it is a pretty great, again, kind of like earthy sort of scent. And there are some of the more environmentally friendly but still like liquid soaps that I do think might be closer for you. But I do think the soapy smell that you like, the laundry smell, that is, I think, unique to like, you know, big commercial detergents. Like I kind of don't think that there is a natural version of that because it's not a naturally derived fragrance, which is kind of unfortunate because I do sort of wish that there was, like, if there was a Grove concentrated laundry soap that I could get that smelled like laundry TM, I would absolutely do it because I like the recyclable aluminum bottles. I like how concentrated that soap is. I feel like it works really well. Like our clothes get very clean with a small amount. And I like the formula seems really good. But yeah, it is, you know, when you're dealing with naturally derived fragrances, you are always going to have, I feel like, something that's less powerful and also something that smells more herby or floral and less sort of like
whatever
laundry.
this. I was just looking. So I brought my little jug of Tide down here.
that's
You can
the
see it. And I
one.
love the fact. Also, it's like this label. It's like one of those things where it's got a million like kind of crossovers. This is Tide with Oxy Stain Boost, like whatever. It's got a million different labels. It's like a very complicated look, and then but it's called Tide Simply because they just put the word simply in there to make it seem like they're like
simply
they're
what?
going to be one of the more organic brands when it's like the least simple sort of concentrate you can imagine. But I'm opening this up and smelling it, and it doesn't even list a scent. I guess the scent is just Tide. And for me, and this is, again, I know I'm on the wrong side of history. Like, this is bad. This plastic bottle is bad. I know that. But when I take a big whiff of this, it smells comforting to me. That goes back to not the womb, but
darn near
the mid 80s or something.
Yes.
You know, like it smells like what I associate with clean laundry, and it's mostly mental, but I am mental. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
I would not, don't give yourself too hard of a time in this, and I'll give you two reasons why. One, your mental comfort is something, right? It's
And
maybe not quantifiable.
And more necessary now than ever, honestly.
Right.
Like,
Yes,
I think
100%.
like little aromas, I'm leaning into them more. When I take a whiff of them, they calm me. In fact, I'm going to put on some oil.
I went to Home Goods the other day and I bought like $40 worth of candles just because I wanted our home to smell nice. And like, yeah, I bought all the soy vegan ones, whatever, but I also know I'm burning shit up into the air. They're all in glass vessels that I'm sure I'll rinse and reuse, whatever. But like, I just wanted shit to smell good. That's what I wanted.
Yep.
And sometimes you just need things to smell nice. So like, first of all, don't discount that. That has value, even if it doesn't have a dollar amount. Second of all, I think, again, in these times, we all need to be really gentle with ourselves about which sacrifices we make for the greater good, which, like, I don't buy things on Amazon. I have not personally made a purchase on Amazon in years. I just don't. Does Keith sometimes make purchases on Amazon that I hop onto? Yes, he does, right? So I'm not
when you
exactly...
say hop on, you're like, throw this in the basket too, or he's buying things for both that you both
He's
will
buying
enjoy?
something, and then he's like, hey, do you need anything? And then it's like, there's some things that you literally can only purchase on Amazon. One of them is, so our house plants, I don't know why the fuck our house plants all get those little like flies, those little root flies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I got a batch of soil.
Could it have to do with loamy? Are you using any loamy loam
I'm
in
not.
there?
That's the thing. I'm not.
Okay.
My loamy all goes outside. It's all in the garden beds. I think I got a batch of soil that had like those little like flies in them because I straight up used a fresh bag of soil to repot them. I rinsed the roots down, all the stuff. So those little sticky traps, they're yellow, like little flags basically that you stick down into the plant and the flies stick to them because those little flies are really attracted to the color yellow and they just like it helps catch them. You cannot buy those little things anywhere but Amazon. But like I want those for my plants. So every now and then when Keith makes an Amazon order, which he also only makes an Amazon order twice a year, I'm going to hop in on that and be like, yes, can you put this in there? And so like, I feel like, and at the same, and also like my book is for sale on Amazon because that's the only place that someone who is selling their book that is self-published can sell a friggin' book. So like, I think we all need to be very gentle on ourselves and not get into this like absolutism about trying to be as environmentally friendly as we can and try, you know, sometimes you have to fucking buy a to-go coffee and make garbage. Like sometimes you just do because the fact is, one, you and I can never make as much garbage as Enron and Chevron and Shell Oil. Two, we are never going to have as big of an environmental footprint as CEOs and Taylor Swift in private jets. It's just not going to fucking happen. So no matter how many bottles of Tide you buy, you are not like as big of a problem. And similarly, you making small steps, like it is important that everyone does that and recycles things and reuses things and fixes things and makes do and tries to cut the overconsumption. But like we are going for progress and not perfection on this. So I think you can have your time.
Did you see the Needling headline last week? Amazon clarifies climate pledge was just a pledge to change the climate, not improve it. Pretty good. No, I agree with you, and I appreciate the cover there. I do think that and this is what kind of brings it back around to the ongoing kind of, I'll say, soft debate in our home, because Genevieve is not like, you know, she's. I think about like you, and I think about your mom, like very much thinking about like. The very front of mind thinking about the impacts on the environment and stuff. And Genevieve, you know, I would say that she has a good attitude towards that stuff, but is not like kind of consumed with it, which makes it sound like said your mom is consumed with it. I'm really struggling with my words here because I don't.
She's not consumed with it.
No, but I mean, and that's good. I mean that in a good way. But like Genevieve's, you know, like she wants to do the right things, but you know, we actually do order from Amazon, and we hate ourselves for it, but we do it. And anyway, so that's kind of where we are. Genevieve, in other words, it's not like there's a ongoing thing in our relationship where it's constantly like me being throw it in the landfill, and she's always saying, but what about the birds or whatever. That's really not the dynamic, but just around laundry for some reason it is. And when we switched from these plastic jugs, I'm going to say maybe a year or two ago, to those little Grove branded little laundry soap sheets that we were just talking about, that was after Genevieve and our friend said, you guys should do this, you should do this. And I'm the one who does I do all of the communal laundry. Genevieve does her laundry and I do mine, very similar to you. And I was really reluctant. I'm like, no, I like my jugs, and I'm the one who does the cleaning around the house. I should be able to make this decision even if I know it's not the most responsible one, right? But eventually I tried the sheets, and I kind of liked them for a little bit until I didn't anymore. And then I went back to the jugs of Tide, let's just say, and my first experience with my first load of laundry was, I'm back, baby. And it just felt so good. I don't think I've ever been, I talked about it on the show, I don't think I ever felt so glad to like kind of retract something in my life, even if it wasn't. But Genevieve is seriously, she's like, listen, I see videos of just like all those plastic jugs. Like there's just so many plastic jugs. They're like a huge part of the problem with waste in this country and what we're doing. And so she's always like trying to really get me to try other things. And one thing that she's been buying now, and she had me buy this for her off of Grove, is it's a bio laundry detergent. I don't know if that's the kind you're talking about too. This one is Dirty Labs. First of all, don't sell me something that is a cleaning supply and put dirty in the title. I don't like that. Right away, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be hippy dippy, like, like I'm not into it. Dirty Labs bio laundry detergent. That is the opposite. That is the opposite vibe. Just talking about branding now. That is like all of those words give me the opposite feeling than the cozy feeling of Tide that I was saying before.
The bio thing is something we don't really have as much in the States, but I remember when Keith and I went to Scotland, we saw this detergent that was listed as like biological, and we were like, what does that even mean? And we looked it up, and it has to do with the enzymes that are in it. And so it's whether or not it just has like just a surfactant or sulfactant, like just a detergent, or if it also has like the enzymes that are supposed to like help break down crud. And so I think that's what the bio part is. And I do think there are more and more products stateside that are doing that. But I've seen Dirty Labs come up. They are one of the new ones. It's more expensive. I feel like it's a pretty expensive one.
And it comes in a very small tin bottle.
Yeah.
And I'm smelling it now. This one supposedly smells like magnolia bergamot. Or is that what that is? Bergamot? Bergamo? I don't know. What is bergamo? I can barely read too. My eyesight.
It's a fragrance. I don't actually know if it's I should know if it is like a wood or something, but it's a fragrance that's in a lot of things.
It says magnolia, bergamot, and cedar, and I'm smelling it now, and it's not as much of a strong scent, but it does have a scent. But it comes in this small, instead of plastic and big, it comes in a small metal recyclable container. But then it comes with a tiny little, and this is the problem here, it comes with a tiny little, and I'm picking this thing up for the first time, and it is so gross.
Yeah.
This tiny little cup that doesn't go anywhere on the bottle or anything. It's just a separate tiny little cup that you fill with soap. And even as I'm picking this up right now, and again, because I don't use this, only Genevieve uses it, it is completely sticky on the outside. It's actually more of a rubber cup, I guess I'm realizing now. I'm wiping it off with a paper towel as we speak because it's sticky. And the first thing I noticed was we have a new metal shelf that we keep our laundry supplies in. It has a little glass door that closes, if you can picture it. And like, right away, this little cup, which doesn't attach to the bottle or anything, is just now floating, and then it's set down on the metal shelf, and then when I went to pick it up, it had left a big gross ring of soap on it, and I was immediate.
And if the shelf is metal, it can start corroding it even if it's got those enzymes and stuff in it. So
I grabbed this like plastic. It looks like it might even be from a restaurant. I'm not sure. Like a ramekin, a cheap plastic ramekin. I grabbed it out of our cupboard, and at least I told Genevieve, well, at least put that thing in the ramekin. But like our shelf now, because of this inconvenient truth, because of this inconvenient method with this tiny little bottle, like I guess you don't need very much soap to get the job done. But the thing is, I just find it to be like so clunky and messy, and it doesn't have that smell. And like I know that like I'm doing the wrong thing, to go back to that, by just like saying no, I like my Tide, but like so far these other options are not doing it for me.
I think this is the thing, is like a lot of times the replacement, like the quote unquote better replacement, doesn't do the job. Like the sheets are physically not as effective as laundry soaps. They leave you with sour laundry. They don't get things as clean. There is research about this, that those sheets don't work. And so like, yes, it's great that they produce less waste and that you can sell them in cardboard, but they don't work. And like you can use, the powdery soap, the laundry powder, like Meliora has a powdered laundry soap that I do think works really well, and it lasts a really long time, and it's not super messy because it's powdered, so it doesn't leave a scummy amount, and you can leave the little scooper in there. But it's also not fragranced, or I think the only fragrance they have is lavender. And so like it's not going to give you the smell. You can add a laundry booster, like a smell booster, but that's going to come in plastic, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. That's the thing. My friends were like, we'll get these smell boosters. I was like, well, that comes in a plastic.
In plastic.
Yeah.
Until someone sells me a booster in cardboard, which also if someone would sell me a booster in a cardboard shaker, that would be great. That would solve a lot of my problems. I feel like you're still going to make the choice that like makes the most sense for you and is the most economical. You're right. Like the Dirty Lab stuff is expensive, and you get a really small container of it. The Grove ones that we have, it's like the Grove brand ones. It's a bigger container. It's still very concentrated. It costs less. And what it has is on top is a little cup, like a little metal, like ramekin basically. And that's the measuring cup. And so like, you fill it and then you Yeah, exactly. But it's like a little guy, and it nests on top. Yeah. And it's not even the lid. There's a lid, and then it just sits on top, which is nice.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And it looks
but
nice.
It collects somewhere, though. Like the soap, as it empties out because it's upside down, like this Tide, whatever this plastic bottle is, it does a good job of like containing that.
Yeah.
Because it's now the cup, and you've screwed it back on, and everything is leaking back into the bottle. So it's like very, very clean.
I also will usually just grab like a sock or something out of the washer, like out of the washer, and like run it around the cup thing just to get all the soap out of it and throw it back in, so that I'm actually using all the soap for the load, and then put it back on top and it's dry. And the nice thing is it sets on top, because I got the Dirty Labs one too one time with the little rubber thing, and I had the same thought where I was like, you can't make it the same size as the top. Like, you can't send this back to R&D and do a nominal amount.
I mean, can you see what's inside the
Yeah,
ramekin?
and it
as far
only
as
collects.
just like, it's just.
Here's the other thing:
Yeah.
when you're
Oh, there it
using
is.
such a concentrated soap too, you're already dealing with such a small amount of liquid that a ton of it's gonna sit in the bottom. It's not all gonna make it into the load. And so you're gonna have to like rinse it and dump that in. Like, you're making it more work. You have to make it easier than this. And
So
I really
this
just,
is our
I
this
wish
is our ongoing debate.
I wish the people at Meliora, love you guys, would make a powder one with the scooper that was like Tide scented or was somehow soapy scented. Like, in the cardboard, because they make it in the cardboard thing that I like.
Yep.
That's what I need. Or if it's going to be a liquid, yeah, it needs to have a better pourer, a better spout. Grove also sells the little pourer thing, the additional like glass pourer thing with a spout on it that is like a lot easier to use, but that's still a secondary thing. So I guess you could do that, but
I can't quite picture that, but you've reminded me of something else, and then I want to get to this voicemail here from Jeff, because we have a I think an unprecedented voicemail here in which I completely reject this listener's advice. This kind listener has called in with like a life hack that I just couldn't disagree with more, and I'm dying to get your thoughts on this, Hannah. I hope other listeners love it. I'm not trying to undermine it, but I just think it's so funny that I don't think I've ever heard a voicemail that just sounds like such a bad idea to me. We'll get to that in a second. But you know, one thing this is such a small, minor complaint, but that kind of bums me out, is when I was new to buying things on Grove, I remember I even talked to you about it because, again, with an eye towards minimizing single-use plastic and stuff, I started using Grove, and I bought some of those like little glass spray bottles, which were originally like kind of round, just classic, labelless glass spray bottles that were pretty cute, and then I could like refill it with concentrates of glass cleaner or all-purpose cleaner or whatever I needed. And that was like a big change for me, and something that I really enjoyed, and I really just loved those bottles. But now Grove has, I don't know, for the past couple of years, if not more, they've replaced the original standard rounded edge, just round cylindrical glass bottle with something that's a little bit more modern. It has a rubber bottom on it, and then you can actually remove that rubber bottom and like kind of switch it so that it says like, this is glass cleaner or this is all purpose.
yeah,
it's like
they have the
device.
Label, like
They have the label on it, and it's like squared. It's not a cylinder anymore. It's like rounded edges. And there's just something, I just need to find a place that sells glass bottles the way I like it, but like I go to Grove for so many things, and we need more spray bottles because I now have one for the plants, but that was also the one that we're supposed to use when Bingo's harassing Professor Bananas too much. He needs a little squirt, but it's like, where's the squirt bottle? It's by the plants. Like, we need it by the bed, like whatever. And so like I'm in the market, and I have been. It's so weird. I've been in the market for another glass bottle for probably over a year now, but I don't want to buy one of the Grove ones anymore because they're not as cute as they used to be. I don't want that rubber bottom on it. I just want it to be all glass, and I'm just so bummed that Grove has just sort of like pulled up stakes on the classic model.
Yeah, that's always a disappointment when a brand has sort of an in-house thing that they make and you like it, and then they're like, psych, we're going to do it differently. Also, though, for glass spray bottles, I feel like this is a Genevieve thing. Send her to Facebook Marketplace or to the Fremont antique stores or whatever, and just be like, go find us some like cute vintage glass bottles.
You know, one of the things, and I think they are standard, it's just like, it's one of those things where when I think about it too much, it seems like it seems so easy to just get another glass bottle, but then I make it more complicated because I think, well, one nice thing about the Grove ones are you can then, if the plastic squirty part
Yes.
breaks, which sometimes it does.
does.
The one in my shower fell the other day and it broke. You know, you can just buy a replacement squirter for the glass bottle, and like I know I can just go to Grove and get that. And I don't know if those are universal with other brands. I'm guessing they probably are, but then I start wondering, like, well, if I buy this other glass bottle, can I still buy a replacement? And then I just like eat a chip and forget about it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Go to surely somebody on Facebook Marketplace has some like old Grove of the old Grove ones that you like.
Oh, the old Grove ones. I see
They
what
might.
you're saying. Yeah. That's a good
Genevieve's
point.
good at
Yeah.
finding things like that.
She is, yeah. Also, we love going around to like just vintage stores and stuff, and like I could probably find some good old spray
Get one of those
bottles
little
in
like
there.
perfume aerosolizers for a bingo.
Yes,
Just like,
I love that. I love that. When back when I used Twitter, I think I might have mentioned this. God, I'm just laughing at a lot of my own jokes today. Sorry. But I had a secret Twitter account that nobody knew about, and I still wouldn't get. I guess it still exists. I just haven't logged into Twitter in a really long time. I had my regular Twitter, but then I had this secret one, and honestly, even right now, I can't even remember what it was called if I wanted to tell you. But it was a place where I only wrote weird jokes, and I literally had no followers, and it ended up just being a place where I could go back and look at the weird jokes that I want to put in the world that nobody saw. And one of them was, when I'm spraying my plants, I like to scream down, motherfucker. And I don't know why I'm just repeating my jokes to you, but I do like to sometimes spray my plants. Be like, down, motherfucker, down, while I'm spraying them. I got you. Hannah's got the walking pneumonia, and if I can make her laugh cough, it means I win. Oh, no. I don't want to kill you.
I'm good.
Okay.
All right. Do we have a voicemail?
Yeah, are you sure you're okay? You sure you want to go on? I wasn't
I'm ready.
sure if we were
I can
pausing
go
there
on.
for a second. Okay. My cough will go on.
Lola has a feeling about it.
Everybody's in. Okay, so one voicemail, and then we're going to get out of here. This is from listener Jeff, and he's got 3 points here. The first one is about I believe, something we can buy to help us clean our homes.
Hi, Hannah and Andrew. It is Jeff in Grapevine, Texas. I have 3 items for you. Number 1, Dollar Tree has a great, inexpensive modular cleaning system. You get a pole and you can buy whatever attachments you want. It's great if you live in an apartment and don't have a lot of space. Number 2.
Okay, so I like that. It sounds, maybe I can't quite picture it, but it sounds a little bit like maybe that that pole cleaner I bought for my shower, so I don't have to like kind of bend down and like get in all the crevices. So
Yes, I think it's also the kind probably that's like it can be a broom or a mop or a like reacher duster. I think it's that kind of deal. Which if it's at the dollar store, this is good because there's like fancier versions that can be pretty expensive, which is absurd and obscene. And so if there is a modular cleaner at the dollar store, that is a good tip, especially if you're like you said, in an apartment, maybe if you're in your first apartment or you're just like, man, I'm not doing a good job of sweeping or dusting. Like if you had one thing that does it all, that's a good tip.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at some of these now. Yeah, that's pretty great. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so you're off to a good start. Good tip. Now, this next part is where we're going to part ways in our philosophies.
Number 2, if you have 2 bathrooms to clean, use the same microfiber to clean them both.
No, that's fine. No, that's good. It's using the same cloth to clean them both, but go on.
Spray the mirrors, countertops, and toilets in both of them. Go to the first bathroom and clean the mirror. Go to the second bathroom, clean the mirror. Go back to the first bathroom, clean the countertop and sink. Back to the second bathroom to clean the countertop and sink. And finally, back to the first bathroom to clean the toilet of that weird dust buildup it gets on the lids. And wipe down the outside, and then back to the second to do that.
Okay, he has a third point, too, we'll get to in a second. But so Jeff mentioned that especially if you live in an apartment, which maybe Jeff does, so maybe it's a smaller space, and he has 2 bathrooms that are right next to each other, and maybe that makes sense. But, like, if you have 2 bathrooms in your home, they're probably far apart from each other because that's the benefit of having 2 bathrooms. Like, the idea, at least in my case, of going upstairs, doing the mirror, and then coming all the way downstairs. Have you seen my knees, Jeff? I can barely move anymore. I'm an old, decrepit man. Going up and down the stairs to one bathroom to do one task and the other, it seems like you're adding hours to the labor.
So, yes, I'm wondering if because he's in Texas, he's on one story, he's less likely to maybe have an upstairs, downstairs situation.
But still?
Yeah, because I also am upstairs and downstairs. Now, I do agree that you can absolutely clean an entire small bathroom with one microfiber. Here is one caveat I personally have. I like to start with a fresh, dry microfiber when I'm doing the toilet so that I know if I touch something damp, it's yucky. Because if I'm using a brand new dry microfiber on the toilet and I can tell the difference between like what is spray and what is toilet. And so like a dry microfiber makes me feel more comfortable in my toilet cleaning. Does that make sense?
But then you're not. But I don't know. but you're not saying then you use that microfiber for everything else.
No,
you
no,
don't
no.
want to take the toilet rag and then clean the
It's
sink.
just a toilet rag.
Yeah.
It's just
Okay,
a toilet
yeah,
rag.
okay.
But I like the comfort of knowing that it's mostly dry because I just don't like starting the toilet with an all wet rag.
Okay.
And also, I do feel like if you're using a microfiber, you do need it to be a little on the dry side to get that dust off the toilet. Like, I don't feel like it actually gets off as well. Like, I actually usually dust the toilet before I get in there and wipe it.
You're talking about the lid.
Like the lid.
Or, I'm sorry, the top of the tank.
Yeah,
rather.
the lid, the back. Yeah. I usually dust it first.
Let me ask you this, and this may be the dumbest question. I can't believe we're, this far into this. What did you say before? 161 episodes?
Something like that.
That we've been doing this for so many years, and this is just coming up now. Like, 1 second, Hannah. I can't believe this is just coming up now, 160 whatever episodes into the show. But why microfiber in this case? Like, for example, I just bought some specific microfiber cloths for my vinyl records. They're specifically for that. They have a little bit of texture to them, I think, to help get in the grooves. And I'm really excited to use those. It makes sense to me to use microfiber on something delicate like my vinyl records. I use microfiber cloths for my glasses cleaning because I don't want to get those scratched up. Why do you need a microfiber, or what are the advantages of using microfiber on a toilet?
So I like it, again, because it helps pick up dust a little bit better. Yeah? Yes, I find that it does. It's the same reason I use it. I would prefer to use a microfiber on like the hardware of the sink. If you have like a shiny sink, a shiny faucet, I feel like it gets it shinier. I don't like microfiber on the mirror, actually. I have used it sometimes. It's not my actual all-time favorite mirror cleaner.
Streaky?
Yeah, and like dusty. Because I think the idea with the microfiber is that it's not supposed to leave behind little bits of material, like little strands. Like a regular washcloth would leave behind little bits. And so if you're like wiping down the toilet, it might like leave behind fuzz, But like on my bathroom counter, like I'll just use whatever. I don't care. I have bar towels and stuff. And I actually use a bar towel on the mirror a lot of the time in the bathroom because it's the kind of bar towel that like doesn't shed. It's like that really dry. And so I do like that. I also feel like I don't know if it's just because I have shitty microfiber and I obviously wash and dry it like a moron. Like I don't think you're supposed to do that. Because I think you're really supposed to not dry it.
Supposed to hand wash it, I think, maybe.
Which,
let it hang dry.
please, I try and touch microfiber as little as possible. But either way, whatever kind of rag.
Oh, really? You don't like the way it feels?
No. Oh, it's like
really...
poison touching my hands.
Really?
Yeah.
I got this little, I think this
Oh,
came
no,
with,
the
like,
glasses
Warby
one
Parker
is
or
okay.
whatever.
I can deal with that. Yeah, don't use your t-shirt.
Yeah, this from Glasses USA. It says, don't use your t-shirt. This doesn't bother me
No, that
so
one
much,
I like.
but
It's like the fuzzy kind. Like the...
okay, yeah.
know.
That's what I'm about to be experimenting with my little records.
Yeah,
so,
I don't like that kind. But it is true, and one thing I learned when I was a janitor is that you absolutely can clean an entire bathroom with one rag. That is true. The running between bathrooms, I'm not sure about. I feel like I'd rather just use two and do one bathroom at a time. Here's my other issue with cleaning two bathrooms at a time. Maybe you have very patient cohabitors who are okay with you
good
cleaning
call,
two bathrooms at a time, but I can barely get away with cleaning one bathroom at a time before like somebody needs to be in the bathroom for something or something, I feel like having both bathrooms monopolized by my cleaning at once would be unpopular. So there's that too.
Yeah.
So I'm
I'm
curious
just picturing
about.
Keith like running in the bathroom while you're cleaning it. Get out!
Oh my God. The number of times where I round the corner and I'm right about to go like clean the bathroom and the door is shut and I'm just like, every time.
There's a very specific human experience, which is being out somewhere and heading home, and you know you have to go to the bathroom so bad, and this has been much talked about. I'm not breaking new ground here, but like somehow your body knows as it's getting closer and closer to the toilet that it can start letting go a little bit. Like if you're driving home somewhere and you're just like, oh my God, this is not a good
We're
feeling
doing
in my
this
stomach right now. This is really happening, but I think I can make it home. You're like, okay, willpower, I can do this, and then you park, and then you get out of the car, and that's always risky. And then you're like you're walking, okay, you're getting up the stairs or whatever whatever your living situation is. But then like once you're in the house, your body knows, and then your body knows, oh my God, I'm very close to the bathroom now, and it's starting to let go, and like it's like time is like compressing sort of. And the very specific moment that I'm talking about is when you drop your coat on the floor. It's very uncommon in my life that I just come home and drop my coat on the floor. Cat hair, whatever. I always hang it up right away. But in those rare moments, and I hope they are rare for most people, where you are running in the door and then your body's, it's letting go, and you have to go to the bathroom so bad that your coat ends up on the floor. That is a bad bathroom experience.
And then, but the worst is when you come home, if you only have one bathroom and the door's closed because someone's on the other side of it.
I can't imagine. Vives and I lived together for, 20 some years before we finally had a house or a home with 2 bathrooms, as we do now. And talk about privilege. I mean, I remember thinking about it a lot when we moved in here, how nice it is to have 2 bathrooms. But now I can't even imagine going back, which is such a spoiled thing to say. Listen, we would make it work if need be. But I remember times waking up in the morning and Genevieve is using, she's getting ready for work. And so she's in the shower. And I'm just like, I don't know how I survive this. You start thinking about buckets. You start thinking about what's in the house. You start thinking about walking into the ocean.
An apartment where like there's not, it's not like there's, because like I lived in an apartment building at one point where there was like a communal bathroom downstairs, and so like there were times where I'd like if the bathroom in my apartment was occupied, I could go downstairs to the communal bathroom, and at least there was like an option,
lobby bathroom,
like
communal for But
then like when you don't have that, and especially your mornings, they have an order of operations, and especially if one of those things is like walking a dog before you can do anything, but you have to pee real bad when you get up, and you're like, I can't walk the dog in this state, and so now everything is bottlenecked. Yeah, it's real. So
what's that line from? I was looking for it specifically. I don't have it here, but from 30 Rock, where Jenna Maroney says, "Love means going downstairs to go to the bathroom in the Burger King restroom."
Oh yeah, love means going downstairs to the Burger King to poop. Yeah,
yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, exactly right. But like sometimes you don't have that option, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm on an island here." Cleaning both bathrooms at once, I could see that being a little controversial because you're back in that state, I
don't want to dismiss Jeff's personal experience, though. For some reason, Jeff has some layout that I can't picture.
It's working for him.
He's got a layout. He's got a routine. He maybe is like us, and he's listening to this podcast, so he enjoys cleaning. It's a little you know what I mean? Like, listen, I do a million wacky things that don't make a lot of sense to people who might be observing me, like starting to clean my bathroom at midnight or something like that. So I'm not trying to cast aspersions, but I really can't picture what situation it would be where it's more convenient to like be running back and forth, but because I feel like the bathrooms would have to be so close together to make this workable that you don't need 2 bathrooms.
I mean, I guess I could see it if you have a main and then like an en suite, sort of like kind of pretty close together, like one's in a hallway and one's in a bedroom.
Sure.
Like I could see it, or like a powder room, like that kind of thing where it's like one's right there. Like I could definitely see. Like, I've been in people's homes where they have even, like, the main bathroom and a powder room are, like, back-to-back. That's how they're built, right?
Okay, yeah, if that's the situation, I can see
that. But in my home, certainly that would be a much bigger pain in the ass. But again, this is true, though. You can clean a whole bathroom with one rag, and there is something very liberating. I remember, like, I don't know why I thought when I was a young person that, like, the best way to clean a bathroom was, like delicately spray the mirror and then, like, delicately do the, like, faucet and stuff. Because then when I was a janitor, I remember walking into a commercial bathroom, and my colleague who was, like, showing me around or whatever was just like, okay.
Just spraying everything.
Just
sinks,
spread,
showers,
do the
toilets.
whole thing.
Yeah,
Everything uses the same cleaning solution.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, damn, you can clean a bathroom in like 5 minutes. This is not bad. And it remains true. You can clean a bathroom pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually kind of inspiring to get a job as a janitor. All right.
It honestly wasn't the worst job I ever got.
No, I believe it. I told you I was a housekeeper for a very short period of time in college. My role was being part of the team that would clean the student center. So it'd be like, I have memories of like, I like to go and do my own thing. A lot of the people said there isn't enough work to go around. So a big part of the job is hiding from the bosses just so that like we all can keep our jobs, but we don't get this place clean too quickly. So people would always like go find secret places to go smoke cigarettes and hang out. I didn't really like that because I am just a good boy and I like to do my work, but I would like kind of like volunteer to do the mopping of the industrial kitchen.
I was going to say, you just got stoned and vacuumed the same square foot of carpet over and over again.
I would. There's something that was. I liked the solitude of cleaning the kitchens, but they're also like these industrial kitchens, like in a college, again, common space. It's not a common space for people to use the kitchen, but I mean in the student center that like they've been there since 1970. And it was nice to be in charge of a room and getting it all tidy. But there's also something unsatisfying about the fact that this floor will never really be clean. This floor has absorbed the grease of thousands of years of tater tots.
And until you get in there with the like the stripper like Zamboni thing, it's never.
They didn't let me play with that.
Oh, that's a big machine. You have to be specially trained when they get in there and do like, and they use the wax stripper. I only was party to that one time when we did like a full teardown of a place, and I remember I was not permitted to push the Zamboni thing around, but it seemed really cool.
The fact that you tried to ride it was a real.
I was so small. I thought it would be fine.
It would be fun. I just realized we never got to Jeff's third point, which was a request, actually. Apparently there is a cleaning scene in the movie American Beauty. I can't remember the name of the main actress in that, but she's, I believe, a real estate agent. Annette Bening, maybe? Could it be Annette Bening? No, I don't think that's her.
I've actually never seen that movie. I don't know. I was too young when it came out, and then I just never saw it.
I remember liking it a lot the first time I saw it, and then thinking it was so overrated by the second time I saw it. But anyway, I believe somebody plays a real estate agent and has to do like a cleaning scene. It isn't Annette Bening. She had to do like a cleaning scene, I think preparing a house or something. So Jeff wants us to do a rated C for clean on that. It's been a really, really long time. So I'll look that up and see if we can do that for next week.
I love a rated C recommendation. I am always here for a rated C recommendation.
Yeah, so we'll do that. But also, I do want to hear from listeners. What are the things that you let get super dirty on purpose so that it's even more satisfying when you finally do clean them? You know how to get at us. You're going to hear an old-timey radio guy explain the details on that in just a second. Hannah, thank you for everything. I hope you feel better with your walking pneumonia. Hope you kick that thing.
Hoping it walks on out of here any day now.
I hope so, too. Everybody else, we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
You've been listening to the Spotless Podcast. If you have a question for Hannah and Andrew or some cleaning advice, call the Spotline at 508-HOW-WASH. That's 508-469-9274. You can also email them at spotlesspod@gmail.com. We'll be back soon. But until then, always remember, life is messy, but it doesn't have to be.